Hey guys, guess what? I actually hit a deadline. I am so excited. So I didn't hit it perfectly, but I am going to take it as a win. That means that we have a finished object today. We're going to get to do a new cast on. Plus, I've got a couple of whips and an acquisition to show you as well. Welcome back. Thanks for joining in. So in my original plans for May, I had really wanted to finish 2 objects. That would bring my total finished objects for the year up to 5, which means that I would have 1 per month so far, which my total whips or my total FOs last year was 13. I'm trying to beat that this year. So trying to keep up with at least 1 a month averaging out has been kind of my plan in the back of my head since I've realized that I had 13 finished objects last year. So in May, it was my goal to finish 2 objects. In the end, when I did my official May planning, I had a impulse hat that I added in. And so like in the back of my mind, my actual goal was 3. I knew that was a little ambitious. And so I wasn't totally surprised that I didn't hit that goal, but I finished the hat. You guys already saw that project, but I also finished my Advent scarf by Emma Carter. Look at that. I'm sitting here in the shade, so I don't know if you can see how gorgeous these colors are from Dragon Horde yarn. I'll see if I can get a better picture and put it up on Instagram. But look at how gorgeous this is. It is gigantic. Check that out. It's like almost Doctor Who scarf in proportions, right? Being double-sided, so it's knit. Okay, let's back up a little bit. So first of all, I started this scarf on March 23rd, which means it took me just over 2 months to finish, which if you figure there are 24 20-gram minis, which means that this scarf has almost 5 skeins of yarn in it. It's like 4.8 because it took up the entire mini to get the stripe. It's such a cool cast on because you start at one end. You cast on using Judy's Magic Cast On. Do I have that name right? It's like you're starting off the toe of a toe up sock though, right? And then you knit in the round until you get to the other side, which is here somewhere, and then you graft the other end together. So it's an enclosed tube that lays flat really nicely. It has a nice drape to it, but it's also gonna be nice and warm being that it's double layered. I followed the pattern mostly. I mean, it's really a blank canvas. So you could do a lot with this, as a general concept. I did go down a needle size. I think I used, let me tell you for sure, size US 3, which is a 3.25. I think the actual pattern, which is free by the way, I think the actual pattern calls for a 3.5 millimeter, but I already had these tips handy, and so we just decided to go with it. And I love the way the fabric turns out. I also did a total of 40 rounds for each color. I think the pattern calls for maybe 36 or something, but I wanted to use the entire mini skein, or at least as close as I could possibly get it. And so I was able to get 40 rounds out of each one. And then the other change I made is very subtle. I don't know how well you can see. Oh, I actually can see it really well on that one. So instead of changing colors and just, going from one color to the next color, I did 1 round of a knit one, slip one with yarn in back. And so it just kind of feathered the edge just a little bit between the colors. And so it wasn't a really crisp line. I didn't want, because these colors aren't a fade, I didn't want anything stripy in between the colors, but I like the fact that by slipping every other stitch that first round, it just, I don't know, it just kind of feathers everything and blends it together a little bit more. And so I love the way that came out. So how this thing fits, because it is a really large scarf. Okay. That's the middle. And so I like to put mine on kind of backwards. So the middle goes in the front, loop once in that direction, loop once in that direction. Ugh. Okay, take a little bit of finessing because it is kind of wide. Oh gosh, I'm tangled. Help. Okay, now I have myself put together. I'm so sorry, guys. And so the ends are still pretty long on that. It hits like almost mid-thigh. I'm sitting, so it's hard to tell. Sitting down, it just like hits the ground. It is so pretty. It is so pretty. You could even do like an extra little tie in the front if you wanted to. Oh, and I bet one of my other favorite ways to wear a scarf. Hold on. Let's get ourselves untangled. Get those ends back together again. All right, so I've got it folded in half. And then I just kind of pull it through. Oh, that's even better. I love it like that. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I am just so excited about having this scarf finished, and I love the colors of it. And then before I forget to tell you, the yarn was from Dragon Hoard. This was their advent calendar from this past year, which was like Secret Book Club or something like that. Basically, each of the colors was dyed off of a different fantasy book. And so I love, it does give library vibes, doesn't it? I just feel like that screams books in like dark library. So anyway, this project is finished. I love it. I feel so fancy wearing it. We get to check it off the list. Check. That means you guys know that we are going to need another advent cast on, but we're going to get to that in just a minute. I want to show you my other whips. So I'll show you my rib welt scarf first. That is my one skein project that I have on the go. I did not get anything done on it in this last week, I don't think. I may have gotten 2 more repeats done since the last time I've showed you, but I'm not entirely sure. But that's where we have left off because I was rocking and rolling on my other scarf. So not too exciting there. I did, though, make some more progress on my Getty tee. So where we left off, it felt like my right side, I had finished it. It wasn't measuring out quite as long as it was supposed to. But at the same time, I was hitting gauge and like, I did everything correctly, had the right number of rows. It just, I don't know, it felt short. I decided to trust the process. I got the left side done, and I've now been able to join in the round. I think it feels okay on the side where I have it kind of, you can see I've got about 1 inch done on it so far. The front might be a little short by like a smidge, but I don't think it's gonna make enough of a difference to really worry about it. So we're just gonna trust the process and go with it. So this is going to be just a bunch of knitting in the round until I get the body finished. And I think what I'll do is probably get through this skein of yarn. This is the second one I've had to dip into for the main body color so far. And so I think what I'll do is I'll knit until this is finished or almost finished. I might do a couple of alternating rounds just to make sure the color blends, but everything looks the same. And so I think what I'll do is when I'm ready to start that new skein is I'll go back and do the neck and the sleeves. And then that way I can get as much length in the body as possible before starting on the ribbing. And then that way I use as much of the yarn as I can. But that's my Getty tee. I didn't get it done for May like my original plan, obviously. But I love the fact that we're now on the easy part, right? That whole left, right, get the shoulders done. That was the most complicated. So hopefully it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. That's how it works, right? I'm pretty sure. One last thing before we jump into that new cast on, my acquisition. So again, I've been loving Dragon Hoard yarn lately. This is the second installment of the Outlander kind of mystery yarn club. This one is called Keys to Lollybrook. I got it again on their Lore sock set, which is 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon with 436 yards to the 100 grams and then 87 yards in the 20 gram skein. It's another super pretty color. Not quite as dark and moody as the other one, which I really liked, but that's okay. That's a really fun contrast. And again, it came with 2 stitch markers. So it had another one of the little tartan ones. And then this time it came with, I don't know if you can see that, a little, looks like a little cabin. There you go. Very cute stitch markers. All right, so that'll get added to my yarn shelf. And I'm really excited about a project I have planned for all of these. All right, now for that new cast on. So as I was getting close to the end of my Advent scarf, I started thinking about what Advent I wanted to use up next. And for a while, I've really been planning on using my Hue Loco Advent from a couple of years ago. Love the colors, love the yarn, and I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do, though it was going to require a little bit more thought. But the closer and closer I got to starting a new project, there was one project that kept coming back into my mind over and over again. And guys, I think I'm just going to have to jump in and do it before I change my mind or chicken out. I want to use up the Fiber Fox Advent that I bought after the fact this year. Now, if you remember, I got, not this past year's, but the year before, Advent from Fiber Fox. And the yarn was pretty, the colors were pretty, but I was kind of meh about it. Like the fade, in my opinion, was only so-so. I'm still excited about using it. I have a plan for the yarn that I think is going to like make it shine. It's going to look fantastic. But I was kind of like, about it. So I didn't get this past year's Advent, at least not right away. But then when we got into December, the dyer started doing a slow reveal of the colors. And the colors were pretty. The fade was pretty. It's not necessarily like my favorite color palette. It's not a go-to color palette. You know, one that I would normally be like, oh yeah, those are my colors right there. But what got me was the project itself. Her sample, it was made by her mom, so go her mom. But her mom had made a hexagon blanket that looked like quilted flowers, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I decided that I absolutely had to have this yarn to make this project. Here's the problem. There's no pattern for the project. And I, especially for crochet, am a pattern follower, okay? I need to have, like I change things all the time. You guys know I do that. But I like to have a jumping off point, right? So we are going to have to reverse engineer this thing to figure it out, because we are getting one of these blankets, whether the blanket likes it or not, okay? So, going off of the Instagram post from the Fiber Fox, here are the clues that I had available, all right? So she first of all flat out said there's no pattern. It's just a bunch of mini hexagons, and that's the blanket, right? She did drop some clues, though, over a series of, like, responses to people's questions. So, I know that one mini skein, so the 20-gram mini skein, made 10 hexagons each, and it used up the whole mini. That means that she had one flower in each color, plus some flowers that were 3 colors, okay? Because a flower would take up 6 hexagons, right? And then that would leave an extra 4 to use in other flowers, okay? She used 7 skeins of background color and 1 color for the center of each flower. So that was in addition to the 24 minis. She posted this giant picture of, not a giant picture, but she like a zoomed out picture of the blanket, which is absolutely gorgeous, made me so jealous. She did post it in black and white first, and then started posting all of the close-up pictures of it. We'll get to that in a second, to show off the colors for each day. But this is what the full blanket looks like. There are, according to my counting, 39 flower motifs. So there are 4 rows of 6 and 3 rows of 5. The top and the bottom, you can see, use half hexagons to square it off, whereas she left this side kind of scalloped. And then in the small picture, you can see that each hexagon, when you zoom in really close, because I was dissecting these things, that each side starts off with 2 half double crochets, it looks like, So that means you have 12 total around the center, right? So 6 sides with 2 at each side. And then it grows to 8 stitches on each side, which means that it looks like it's using 4 rounds. So you're going 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, that's 4 rounds to create each hexagon. Each hexagon, because you can make 10 out of a 20-gram mini, needs to weigh less than 2 grams. We can do this. So there are a couple of things, as much as I love this blanket, that I want to change up and make my own. So I thought it would be really cute, rather than having everything be just a plain hexagon, if I threw in some like little puff stitches or something cute in the flower petals, so that the flower petals were a different texture of hexagon from the rest of the blanket. I thought that would be fun. And also, she didn't say how she joined the hexagons together. My assumption looking at it and from like what she did say is that her mom just made like a bajillion hexagons and then put it together and probably sewed it together. We're not doing all that sewing. So I also want to figure out how to join the hexagons as I go, so that when I'm finished, even though I'll have a bajillion ends to weave in, I don't have anything to sew together. So I think that is going to be ideal. Let's dive in and take a look at the yarn. All right, let's start with the Advent box. Now I have to say I am a little disappointed by this, and I'll tell you why. So as usual, the packaging is absolutely gorgeous on the outside. Here's what it looks like. I did specifically choose this yarn base because they still had project bags left. And so I got the large ruffle bag, which how pretty is that? And it's got this cute little plaid lining, and I'm pretty sure there's a drawstring in here somewhere. I just got like sucked in a little bit. There it goes. Is it on both sides? It is. All right, there we go. So super pretty. So I want to see if I can use that in some way. And actually even feels, does it have like a lining in it? No, it might just be double of the fabric, but it's really nice and thick. And it has the boxed bottom as well. Really nice quality. So if you ever get one of their Advents and you have a chance to get either their bucket bag or their ruffle bag, highly recommend. Very, very worth the extra few dollars. Now I will say for the rest of the box, I was a little bit disappointed because when I opened it, I realized that it didn't come like packaged individually like an Advent. So I was sad that I paid more for the Advent, but didn't get like all the perks of an Advent. It's fine because it's just for me and I can, suck it up, Buttercup, but it was mildly disappointing. But it was worth it because I did want the bag, and it also came with stitch markers. So I have the cute little crystals and the little garden, which cottage garden, that was the theme. I knew it had something to do with the garden because the flowers were like on brand for the colors. But basically, it starts out with this really pretty kind of golden colors, moves into greens and bluish greens, and then the blue greens into blues and purples, and then finally we end with these really pretty pinks. I got the Luke's sock base, which is a 75-25, but let me tell you, this yarn is ridiculously soft. Can you hear the birds in the background? They are so loud. That's okay. And then I also, after I got the Advent, I waited for the pre-order to be able to get the colors for the rest of the blanket. So here is Buttercup, which is the color she used for the center of the flowers. And then this is Cow Parsley, which is the color of the background. So this really pretty green. I got 1 of the Buttercup and 7 of the Cow Parsley. So let's hope that that is enough. So the first thing we're going to do is my new little bin. I'm going to go ahead and take these guys out of the package, pop them in here, and then that way our box can be retired. We'll see if we'll keep that or not. And then I also want to kind of figure out how I want to keep my project together. So it's going to have a lot of yarn. We're going to have a lot of hexagons. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to construct everything yet, but I want a few options. I might keep this as like my active project bag for whatever color I'm currently working on. And then I also grabbed my local yarn store bag from Della Q out. And then I'm thinking that way I can keep maybe all my finished flowers in here. I can either roll them up, leave them flat. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. But I've got 2 project bags ready to go for all the yarn. I think I'll store all the cow parsley here on my yarn shelf because my plan in the back of my head right now is to start with all of the flower motifs and then go back to the cow parsley. I don't know. We'll play with it and we'll see how it goes. So at this point, I'm regretting every life decision that brought me to this moment. It'll be amazing when it's done. I'll check back in with you in like 2 years and we'll see what kind of progress I've made, right? All right, so last night I spent some time doing some research and I was looking at a bunch of patterns, both patterns from designers as well as people's project pages to see what they actually used to try to figure out what hook size to use for fingering weight yarn because, no. So it looks like DK weight, you're looking at like a 4, 4.5, depending on the exact pattern. The consensus seemed to be for fingering weight that like a 3.25 would work. Not that you can see that at all. This was my only 3.25 hook. And it is like giving me hand cramps. I don't use these little skinny ones anymore. I was hoping it was going to be 3.5 because furls only goes down to a 3.5. Although they did send out a survey asking if anyone would be interested. And if you were interested, what sizes would you use in like the smaller size hooks. You can bet that I filled that sucker out right away. I hate this hook. But this is what I've been using. I did find, okay, so in the smaller sizes that I can't get furls or O-Fire, oh my gosh, I just threw my hook. I've been using the Prim hooks, and those seem to be okay with like my grip. And they don't make a 3.25. They make a 3 and they make a 3.5, no 3.25. However, I did find at the Yarn Club in Virginia Beach, they carry the red tulip hooks in store, and those are like my old favorite ones. And so I went ahead and I ordered a 3.25 and a 2.75 just to be able to have that in my back pocket as well since they had it. But I can't go get it until tomorrow because it's like in the opposite direction from where I am right now. And so I just don't have enough time to go grab it, but well, that'll be our project for tomorrow. For today, we're just gonna suffer with a little tiny hook. So I decided that I wanted the inside of my flowers to have one pattern, my petals to have another pattern, and then my background to have a final pattern. I haven't worked it out completely yet because I'm just trying to take it one step at a time, but this is what I came up with for my center. I am gonna write all of this down on a project page. I haven't started one yet, but by the time the video goes up, I'll have one started. Doesn't it look like the center of a flower? Like, I just think it looks like the center of a flower. And so basically it's double crochet, a puff stitch, a cluster, and then granny clusters. And then I'm hoping, I originally wasn't going to end everything with a granny cluster, but I'm thinking that might be my way to guarantee that all the hexagons are the same size if they end with this same outside row. So I might end up doing that. I don't know. We'll find out. I haven't decided yet. So I've made 3 of them so far. They are taking forever. I'm going to re-weigh them. The one I did last night weighed 2.05 grams. And actually when I made it and I saw the first one, I was like, this is gonna be like half a gram of yarn. I gotta go back and like, we need a bigger hook. We need to double up. No, it's actually oversized. So I'm hoping that I can get the right number. I can still get 10 of these out of a 20 gram mini. All of you mathematicians out there, please don't do the math on that. I'm a little worried. That's okay. We'll figure it out. And then I'm also gonna kind of pay attention to make sure, because these have like the little puffy stitches and the clusters and everything, I'm gonna do my flower petals maybe a little bit more simple. And so I'm hoping to be able to cut out that extra 0.05 gram to make sure everything is coming in under 2 grams. So anyway, that's what we have so far. How big is this blanket gonna be? How many of these do I need? I'm a little worried. All right, let's get back to work.